All right, so it's 11:01 now, so we can get started. Um, my name is Jovan Dukes. I'll be your moderator for today. Uh, Presenting funding your HBCU education will be Dr. Karen McCord. We have um, a link in the chat, and it's the link for the satisfaction survey. If you can fill that out for us, that will be well by the end of this workshop. We'll greatly appreciate it. All right, so Dr. McCord,
Are, are we able to get that into the larger presentation mode? Do you know?
I was not able to.
Okay, no problem.
So let's see.
Just the size, but that's fine. I can see what I need
Is
to
this
see.
better?
Um, Hopefully for participants, if somebody can put in the chat if you're able to see it, okay? We'll keep it moving. So this is funding your HBCU education. Thank you. And it's important to note that this is funding your HBCU education 102. Hopefully, if you went to one of the sessions this morning, you got a little bit of 101. All participants must educate themselves regarding the FAFSA. That's 101, and that's not something that we cover in our workshop. This workshop focus is beyond the FAFSA, and however, it's important to note that most schools require the FAFSA prior to awarding any scholarships or institutional awards. And so it is a very important document, and I would just like to share with you that it's important to be aware of any deadlines. And deadlines may vary from one institution to another, but you need to find out what the deadlines are and be aware of them and adhere to them so that you don't miss out on some critical funding. Thank you. An overview of the webinar will be understanding your circumstances, focusing on the big picture, looking at some of the keys to scholarships, the research, how to do your research, school scholarships, community group scholarships, and avoiding loans. Thank you. Understanding your circumstances is really one of the keys to preparation. Next slide. Focus on the big picture, not a particular school. Oftentimes we have students that if they were open to some of their other options, they could get a full scholarship, but they may be focused on one school. So it's important to take a look at who's interested in you, who wants you to come to their school. Early planning is important. Even though many of our schools have, they will accept students pretty late, like even May, oftentimes June, but much of the funding may be gone at that time. So the earlier you plan, the better you are positioned for many of the scholarships. And like was said in our workshop yesterday, GPA does matter. We have one school right now that is offering institutional funds. They're not calling it scholarships, but they're offering institutional funds based on your GPA. The higher your GPA, then the more funding you're eligible for. So GPA does matter, and there are many scholarships that are, in fact, based upon your GPA. Knowing yourself just helps you to know, if you know your major and other things that you need to tap into, that will help you to be more focused in your search. Thank you. So, keys to scholarship preparation. These are the things that you should be doing now. If we have students that are here with us today, it is important that you complete and have a resume, a personal statement, essays, reference reference letters, and to also attend one of our webinars. Now, going back to resume, it's important that even if you don't feel that you've had a significant job, or we have students tell us, I don't have anything to put on a resume, you have to take an inventory of yourself. And that takes some time. But taking an inventory, you will find out that you have many skills and also jobs that you may have held. They may have been volunteer positions, they may have been leadership positions, but those are all things that can be included on your resume. I'm reminded of my grandson, who has been an athlete for most of his junior high, high school, and college career. And when he was preparing his resume, he said he didn't have, he only worked one job, selling knives for, y'all all know that company, I forget. But anyway, that was the only thing he'd ever done. And so as we looked at what else he might be able to do, we realized that he had done sports camps for many, many years. He had gone on mission trips to different countries. All of that he had left off of his resume until we looked a little closer. And we found out that, wow, there was a lot that he could add to his resume. Your personal statement shares a little bit about who you are. And it's important to create the personal statement. If you do that early, before it's actually needed, then it will help you as you're completing your essays for a variety of schools. Many schools require essays for some of the scholarships that are available. If you've done a personal statement, you generally can extract from your personal statement, and pretty much it'll be easier for you to complete any essay that you have to do. Also, as one who has written many, many reference letters for many, many students, some students will give me their personal statement when they ask me to do their reference letter. That's very helpful, as many of you who have done reference letters know. So that is very critical. Doing your personal statement helps you with the next two. And if your school is offering workshops for any of these things, or many of our schools in our career planning classes, these kinds of things are covered. But also, when I was teaching full-time, we offered workshops for students after class and on weekends, so that they could complete personal statements, essays, and resumes, and have someone take a look at them. So thank you. All right, so the key to scholarships is, in fact, preparation, preparing early, connecting with your teachers. Those of you who may be in the first year of community college, it's important to connect with some teachers and maintain contact with them. Stay in touch, checking in on a regular basis, and also secure your reference letters early. We have all had students come to us the day before something is due and ask us for a reference letter. And even if it's a reference letter that I really want to do, sometimes my schedule may not allow me to do that. The other thing that oftentimes students do is they don't tell us that you're using us as a reference for someone. And many of the references today come electronically through our emails. And so again, it goes back to staying connected and letting the person who you like to write your reference letter, let them know, and start early so that they have time to prepare a good letter for you. Thank you. Have a checklist of things to include in your letter. That checklist would include your major. And it is okay if you change your major, but we just want to know, what is your focus right now? What are you thinking that you want to do? Also include what your passions are. when we work through our personal statements, I have people identify 3 of their passions and then break it down to just one. If you can only do one, what would that be? But look at the things that you're interested in. Those things can be included in your letter. 3 strengths that you have, also 3 weaknesses. Oftentimes, many weaknesses actually can be translated into strengths. So that's really important. And what are your goals for the future? Your goals for the future academically, your goals for the future in terms of employment, and in general. What are some of your hobbies, volunteer experiences, extracurricular activities, leadership positions? Where you a team captain and things like that? All of those. And diversity. Have you done things within diverse communities? And if you have, then those are also things to highlight. We have a student recently who happened to be African American, and she was helping English second language learners in her high school. So that shows interactions with diverse groups of people. And it also may have to do with ability that the diversity may come in, but any type of diversity that you've been involved with, it's important if you can highlight some of that. All right, research is our next slide. So you have to do your research. There's no getting around it. You have to research your government funds. What funds are available to you? For our students who are currently at the local community college, check your community college foundation. Oftentimes there are funds that go untouched because people haven't applied for them. We've also had scholarships for students that all they need to do is submit a resume and a paragraph stating why we should give them the money. And I've definitely been in a position where I've been begging students to write the paragraph, submit so that you can get some of the money that's out there and available to you. So go on your community college website and check out the foundation scholarships. Some of them you have to use while you're at the community college, but many of them, once we verify that you are enrolled in your four-year institution, the funding can be used there also. So don't rule it out. Check out honors colleges at the schools that you're applying to. Some of our partner schools have honors colleges that you apply to based upon your GPA. And if you have a minimum of 30 units, which is required under our transfer guarantee, then other scores like SATs and things like that don't matter. Look at merit-based scholarships versus need-based. Need-based scholarships mean that you're showing a financial need for the funding. Merit-based means just based upon what you've done and what you've accomplished, be it athletically, leadership-wise, or other, then that's how the scholarship is awarded. Military. There are scholarships for being in the ROTC, but there are also military organizations, whereas if your parent or even your grandparent or spouse was a member of the military, then you may be eligible for some of those fundings also. Look at a public versus private school. That may be the difference. That may make a difference in terms of the cost to attend the college. Not always, but sometimes. And look at in-state tuition. And we have many of our HBCU partner schools that are offering in-state tuition to California students who are transferring to their institution. And so we also have a list of those institutions that are offering that. Thank you. Additional school scholarships at the school that you are going to. And again, that's why it's so important for you to start early, because you can write your department at the school that you plan to attend, let them know that you've been admitted, and see what kind of funding they have available. Again, your personal statement will come in handy because you can include that to share with them what all you've been involved in. Leadership both at school and leadership. You may be involved in leadership in the community, in your church, things like that. GPA and SAT-based scholarships. Others are regional scholarships, which may be statewide, countywide, things like that, and California Community College transfer scholarships. We have a young lady who went to one of our partner schools. She was not eligible for need-based scholarships, but she got a scholarship for being a California student who was attending that particular school. Okay. And it required a 2.2, I think she said, GPA. It wasn't, outrageous. And she was able to get the funding just by applying. We have one of our partner schools is actually here today, but I won't call the name, that said their California Community College scholarship, no one had ever applied for it. They had never given it out because no one had ever applied for it. And then you have scholarships that are based up HBCU specific scholarships, like the United Negro College Fund and the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship. Although some of those scholarships are actually administered through the departments at the school. So what you want to do is find out if the school that you're attending is a partner or affiliated with the United Negro College Fund or the Thurgood Marshall. Scholarships that are based upon major, that could be at your school. Currently, the school that you're attending. There are also state and national scholarships that are based upon major. It would be similar to there's a scholarship here in California where if you're majoring in social work, you can get your loans forgiven and things like that. Scholarships that are based on being a parent, single parents, your major, unions, veterans, places of employment for both yourself, your spouse, your parent, and sometimes your grandparent. So sometimes these are legacy scholarships that, I know there was one, I think it was with the people who had worked on the railroad, that if anybody in your family, you could prove it, that there were scholarships that you could apply for based on that. And many of the employers, including your McDonald's and Starbucks, have scholarships. Okay, thank you. We have scholarships from your churches. Many of our HBCUs are affiliated with a particular denomination, and those denominations oftentimes offer scholarships if you're attending one of their schools. So you want to check on that. And we'll have some examples coming up, and these are real live examples of things that happen. Community, state, and ethnic organizations also offer scholarships. Look at local scholarships. There are less people applying for them. Also, because oftentimes you have to live or be in that community. Sororities offer scholarships. And I know with my sorority, Delta Sigma Theta, they would they would call me at the college and say they had scholarships and, not applications. Same thing with AKAs and other sororities and fraternities that when I was working full time, they would call and say, do you have students that can apply? Because no one has applied for our scholarships. So that's real. All right. The Links, the Masons, Jack and Jill, all of those fraternal organizations offer scholarships. We also have a sample of a friends and family letter. Oftentimes, there may be friends, family, neighbors that don't know what it is that you need. And if you just send out a nice little letter letting them know what you're planning to do, you'd be surprised at how much money flows in. And we've had students to do that very successfully friends and family, and sometimes they've taken it to their churches, which didn't have a particular scholarship, but where the pastor authorized a love offering for students or a going away gift for students. So, so that's the other option. And then estimate what your other expenses are going to be, because sometimes people don't. We had one student who didn't think about the cost of a flight to get her and her son to school. And so you have to look at those things so that you can plan for those things and also seek out resources. And in her situation, myself and one of my other colleagues on the call, we were going to a sorority meeting and we brought up what was happening, and they were able to collect enough money just by passing a hat, literally, so that this young lady and her son could continue with their goals to go to an HBCU. And so you got to make a budget and be generous with your budget to make sure you don't run out. One of the young men yesterday who was on our panel, and if you missed the panel yesterday, you missed hearing from some awesome students who are doing an extraordinary job, both academically and in their communities. And I remember one of them said that he saved all the money he got while he was at the community college because he was working part-time, and he saved that money. He didn't spend that money. So then he had that money later for when he went away to the 4-year, because he knew he was going to go away and he didn't need the money as much when he was living home with family as he would need when he was going out. So rather than going to McDonald's and Burger King and Chick-fil-A and all those places for lunch and dinner, he ate at home. You know, the family's cooking, so save some of that money for when you get away and you really need it. All right. All right. So avoid missing out on financial aid opportunities. Just last semester, I had a young man who did not sign his financial aid letter, and we had to advocate for him to be able to get his financial aid because he had not signed the letter. And so it's important to check your spam mail, number one, because a lot of things come by email. Check your email. We have so many students that call us and say they haven't heard about something, but they haven't checked their email. Check your email. And then you need to read it thoroughly and send it to somebody. If there's someone in your family or teacher or mentor or somebody, send it to them to make sure you don't miss out on anything, and go line by line to make sure you're doing everything that they're asking you to do, because any of those things could eliminate you from your opportunity. So make sure that you fully understand your financial aid award letter. Also, think outside the box. Now that you know where you're going, apply to some of the less competitive scholarships, and a little bit of money can add up to a lot of money. And we're going to show you how in just a minute. Organize for scholarships. And so you need to have a list. We have another young lady who said she set aside 2 hours every Friday just to apply for scholarships. All right. And so get organized and apply for scholarships. Whatever is the best way for you to do it, just do it. Don't talk about it. Just do it, because it can absolutely make a big difference. All right, so here's our sample student number one, and we'll talk about, we'll look at her scholarship package. So she received an HBCU leadership scholarship for $6,900. So she gets $6,900 per academic year, and it's renewable each year as long as she maintains a 3.0 GPA. All right. What's interesting about this young lady is that when I read her personal statement and her initial essay to attend, she did not include any of her leadership activities. And so isn't it interesting that we revised her letter where she included her leadership activities, being involved in the equivalent of the BSU at her school, organizing HBCU tours at her school, and being a youth leader at her church. Once she included those, um, just with what she sent in, they offered her the leadership scholarship, and it's renewable. HBCU Merit Scholarship, that's based upon GPA. That was $5,000, 5,525 per academic year, and it is renewable each year by the institution as long as she maintains their specific GPA. She also was awarded the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated local scholarship. That was from her local chapter. It was a non-renewable scholarship, but it helped her with her first year expenses. Her home church offered her a $2,000 per academic year scholarship, and it is renewable for the time that she is in school as long as she maintains her 3.0 GPA. I'm sure it helped that she was also a church leader, a youth leader, so that people know who you are, and so you get the information about what you can apply for. She also received at her school a department scholarship for $2,000. It's non-renewable, which means it's not automatic based on anything, but for this particular scholarship, she can apply every year for it and potentially get it. And then she received the Beta Club scholarship, $1,000 non-renewable, and that was from joining the Beta Club when she was eligible. So look at all of how the little bits of money add up to quite a bit of money, because if you just look at the leadership scholarship, $6,000 a year, over the 4 years, that's over, we'll do the math, we'll just make it $7,000 a year because that's an easier math for me to do with. That's $28,000. So that's a lot of money on something that, had she not had someone reviewing her personal statement, would have been left out. And when we're not doing personal statements today, but we are scheduling that coming up later this month. And when we do personal statements, one of the things I recommend is that you not just have your instructors look at your personal statements, but also someone from your family, if you work, maybe someone there, because they may think of things that you may not think of. And so that's very, very important. Let's go to student number 2. Student number 2 received the school's president scholarship for academic merit, which was based upon his GPA. He also received a school grant in the amount of $6,150. He received the Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity scholarship, which was $1,000. And then, unbeknownst to him, the school that he was attending is actually affiliated with the Methodist Church. And so once he found out, they said that if you need a recommendation from your pastor, and then you are eligible for the scholarship. So he received the church denomination scholarship for $5,000. Now, this is a young man who did some early planning, and he was a basketball player in high school. And I told him that even though you're playing basketball and you're working, you need to do something else. You need to do volunteer service. So he volunteered just one Sunday a month to do the live stream for his church. And he did that for 2 years, one Sunday a month. And so again, when he asked the pastor to write the letter for him, pastor knew who he was. So look at how that one Sunday a month for 1 hour turned into actual dollars. All right, that he didn't even know about. He applied for an academic scholarship for basketball players. You had to have a certain GPA, and actually, of the 4 people who qualified that particular year, he was the only one who applied for it. And so they actually doubled it because they had 2 scholarships, and So I didn't note that on here, but they actually doubled it, gave him the other scholarship also because no one else applied. So you see how things can go. And then he received the Humanities Department scholarship, which is the department that he's in, and they gave him $1,500. And so he needed just a little bit more money to fill in his gaps. And so I told him to check with the school, contact financial aid, send a letter, say you've made a decision to attend their institution, but you still need more money. And so I call that the Need More Money Scholarship. So the student asked for it, and he was awarded an excellent scholarship for $1,000, and he was awarded this past semester a COVID scholarship for $875. So again, looking at how little bits of small amounts from many different places definitely add up. If at all possible, avoid loans, but sometimes it's not possible. And as one of the young ladies on the panel said yesterday, that this is an investment in you. And I say also it's good debt because you're preparing yourself for something that's going to earn you a lot more. So if you've done absolutely everything you can do, 5 hours a week searching for scholarships, checking out your local things, you've done all you can do and you still have a little gap, you've asked your financial aid office for funding and it has not, you haven't gotten what you need. If you have to, do it, but avoid it to the extent that you can. So do we have any questions? I haven't seen any in the chat, but if anybody has any questions, please put your questions in the chat. Thank you again for joining us today. And again, if you will sign up the student form, then you will, Dr. Settles will let you know of any workshops that we have coming up. And so that's why it's real important for you to join our listserv or sign up via the student forum so that you can stay informed about things that we have coming up. And so we have many workshops that are scheduled to help you to better prepare. Counselors can better help their students prepare. Students can better help themselves. And those are coming up. And we can make sure that you're included when the information is initially released if you will complete the forms. And the link for the forms is located in the chat. Any questions do we have, Jovan?
Not that I see. Dr. McCord, still waiting. Oh. Yeah. Still looking through, but no, ma'am.
All right. Well, we'll be here. So we'll stay around for a few more minutes. If you have any questions, again, please put them in the chat box. If you would like for us, because I see we have many counselors here from the community colleges, if you'd like for us to do a presentation at a time that's convenient to your class or your students, you may be with Puente, Amoja, or teaching a counseling class, please let us know so that we can make those arrangements. Just a reminder that we have another workshop coming up, I believe, at 1 o'clock, right? Yeah, 1 o'clock. And that workshop is attending your HBCU with family. We hope you will join us for that. And then after that, there will be a job fair today. And join us for both events. Tell a friend, have somebody join with you. It's a great opportunity to get information, and we have a great lineup of employers that are planning to be with us today. Let me share with you the list of employers that are here. We have the California Highway Patrol, we have DDUC, the FBI, Kaiser Permanente, School of Allied Health, Lynx, the Citadel, the LA Urban League, Backstage Careers, Construction Career Academy, Operation Hope, AFLAX, CSAC, U.S. Secret Service, America Job Center, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Compton Fire Department, the United States Air Force, the Thurgood Marshall College Scholarship Fund is here offering internships. Emma Bowen, AIG, HP, City Year, the Peace Corps, LA Development Authority, Long Beach Police Department, West Point, and National College Resources Foundation. And so there are some excellent opportunities, and we really hope that you will join us in these awesome organizations for the job fair that will be happening this afternoon also. Do we have any questions?
None typed out.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's see. We'll hang around for about another 5 minutes since that's the time we've allocated. And we will also put our email in the chat so that if you would like to contact us directly, you can. All right, we are going to go off camera, but we are going to stay around for a few more minutes just to see if you have any questions for us or if we can be of any further assistance. Again, coming up at 1 o'clock, we have Transfer into Your HBCU with Family. This afternoon, we have our job fair. And then tomorrow we have a dialogue with college presidents. And then we have a college HBCU college fair also on Friday, where reps will be here from our different partner institutions. So again, we hope that you will join us, and we thank you for joining us this morning. And hope you got a lot of information, both from the schools regarding specific financial aid options that are available at their institutions, and through our presentation, helping you to prepare to get the money. All right, we're off camera, but we will be here. And if we see any questions in the chat, we will respond to them.